Today in the Audio Hotline studio, we actually are not reviewing a microphone. Instead, we are reviewing somewhat of a microphone accessory. It is the SE Dynamite Inline Preamp, also known as the SE DM-1. I currently have it plugged into the SM7B, and if you do not know what this product does, I'll get a little bit more specific once this sweet-ass intro plays. Welcome all audio nerds to the Audio Hotline. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be reviewing the SE Dynamite, this adorable little inline preamp. Now, some of you may have not heard of the SE Dynamite yet. It is relatively new. It's been out for a little bit, but it's pretty new. But I'm sure that some of you have probably heard of the Cloudlifter. This guy. It essentially does a very similar thing to the SE Dynamite. They are both inline microphone preamps. What these inline preamps are meant for is like passive ribbon mics or dynamic microphones. And essentially the way that they work is you put them in between the microphone and the interface, and you engage phantom power on your interface because these do require phantom power. And what happens after that is essentially a 20 to 30 decibel clean gain boost. The amount of decibels that are boosted just depends on which inline preamp you have. Specifically, the SE Dynamite boosts 28 decibels of clean gain. But what happens is that when phantom power is activated, the inline microphone preamp becomes activated and it boosts that 28 decibels of clean gain, which means that you can turn your preamp down on your interface, which also means that the noise level of your signal is going to drop quite a bit. I'll give you a couple examples later on of the SM7B with and without the SE Dynamite, but currently I'm recording into my Zoom H6 and I have the gain set at 40%, which is unheard of with a Shure SM7B. These things are notoriously gain hungry, and you usually have to just boost the hell out of the preamp to get a good signal out of it. But these inline preamps like the SE Dynamite help so much. Later in this video, I will also be doing a bit of a comparison between the SE Dynamite and the Cloudlifter. So if you are interested in that, definitely stay tuned. One other thing that I do want to mention real quick is that I did a review a little while ago for the Rode Pod mic, and I actually did an inline preamp comparison in that video. So if you're interested in seeing this go up against the Cloudlifter, Durham, or the Altron MA1, I believe I use all of them in that review, then definitely go check that out. I will be doing another comparison with the Shure SM7B in this video though. But let's go ahead and get down to brass tacks. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I've heard it used and I feel like I used it the right way. You can find the SE Dynamite at a majority of places for $99. When you purchase the SE Dynamite, it comes in just a very small package. It is an adorable little dynamite package that just is so awesome that I've actually left it in the background of some of my videos a few times just because I love the look of it. Inside of this little package, you will find some documentation, and very simply, you will find the SE Dynamite. There's not much else to this package. It just is what it is. With this coming in at $99, it has definitely drawn some attention from people, considering the Cloudlifter is about $150. Sometimes you can find it for like $130. The Cloudlifter definitely is known pretty well and is trusted by a lot of people, but when this came out essentially $50 cheaper, it definitely made some heads turn. Well, now that I've talked about some of the basics and some of the functions of the SE DM-1 Dynamite, I'm going to go ahead and get real specific. We're going to nerd out and talk about the specs. The SE Dynamite has a frequency range of 10 Hz to 120 kilohertz. It adds 28 decibels of clean gain. It has a max output level of 8.3 dBV, which refers to voltage, which is 2.6 volts. This does require 48 volts of phantom power to function. It has an electrical impedance of 135 ohms, a recommended load impedance of 1,000 ohms. The connectivity of this device is a 3-pin male XLR connector on one side and a female on the other. Overall, this is just a really small device. It definitely draws some similarities to the Triton Fethead for sure, and it's honestly a very similar cost. Sadly, I don't have a Fethead with me right now, or I would totally put them up against each other. If you want that though, let me know and I'll make it happen. One other nice thing about the SE Dynamite is that it does come with a 2-year warranty when you register your product. The only other thing that there really is to go over is how you connect this to your microphone. So you can absolutely plug in an XLR cable into your microphone, then go into the Dynamite, and then from the Dynamite go into your interface. But what they recommend is to just go and take the Dynamite and plug it directly into your microphone, and then take an XLR cable and go to your interface. If it's absolutely necessary that you have an XLR cable plugged into your microphone and then go into the Dynamite, that cable be as short as possible. Setting this up is just effortless though. It's essentially just an extension of the microphone or the cable, and you just plug it directly in. But you do have to make sure, once again, that you have phantom power on your interface, or at least an external phantom power source. Well, now that we've gone through some of the basics and some of the specs, let's go ahead and run this through a couple tests. And the reason I decided to use the Shure SM7B is because it's known for being gain hungry. So if these can help the SM7B, then they could probably help any other microphone. All right, the first test I'm going to do is the SM7B by itself, just plugged into the Zoom H6. And then with the SE Dynamite, we'll see what the noise floor sounds like and just the overall gain. We'll just check out the sound. Now we have the SM7B just plugged directly into the Zoom H6 with the gain set at about 75%. So, I mean, we've had to bump it up over 30% from the Dynamite. So here is the overall sound of the Shure SM7B with no inline preamp plugged in, just going into the Zoom H6. And here is the noise floor level. Here is the sound of the Shure SM7B plugged into the SE Dynamite with the gain set at about 41% on the Zoom H6. And here is the noise floor. Alright, next I'm going to do the Dynamite versus the Cloudlifter, and we'll just check if there's any tonal differences, and also we'll just see how the gain sounds and how the noise floor is. Alright, here is the sound of the SE Dynamite going against the Cloudlifter. The SE Dynamite is at 41% gain, and I'll just try to match the exact same gain with the Cloudlifter. And right now we have the Cloudlifter plugged in, and the gain is set at about 45% on the Zoom H6, so just a little bit higher than the SE Dynamite. But here is the overall sound of the Cloudlifter into the SM7B, and here is the noise floor level. Well, now that we've gone through the basics, the specs, and we tested this out, I'm going to go ahead and give you my review of the SE Dynamite. You know, I'll say that I was a little weary when people were saying that this was better than the Cloudlifter. I didn't really believe them, and honestly, I've been a Cloudlifter lover for a long time. I've had them for years, and I found them extremely helpful. I've always thought that they sounded really good. And as far as the FET head goes, I also did like those, but I like the Cloudlifter a little bit better, just a personal preference of mine. But honestly, once I got this and took it out of that little container and saw how adorable it was, I was pretty stoked about my purchase. Especially when it comes to traveling and everything, just something this small, it just makes a big difference. I mean, yeah, the Cloudlifter isn't huge or anything, but the Dynamite is just so convenient and small. And that was one thing that I also did love about it, is just plugging it directly into the microphone. I didn't have to worry about having two cables with me. You just plug it right in, have your XLR cable like you usually would, and plug it into the Zoom H6, which is what I do when I travel around. So when it came to the build of it and how small it was and how convenient this was going to be and how much better it was going to be when it came to traveling with it, I was really excited about it. And then I plugged it in, and I got even more excited about it because I was just shocked out of my mind how awesome this SE Dynamite was and how good it sounded and how much it helped the SM7B or any dynamic microphone that I've used. And one thing that I do is I'll even plug this into dynamic microphones that aren't even like super gain hungry, just because you can lower that level even more and get a better noise floor level. It's just an awesome little device, especially for $100. I think that this is a really good investment. Yeah, $100 isn't insanely cheap, but I honestly prefer this $100 purchase over the $150 Cloudlifter. And it really hurts me to say that because I own 3 Cloudlifters and I've loved them, but honestly, I think that this took the place as my new favorite because of the convenient size, and just how great it sounds. I personally really liked the sound that was coming out of this combination with the SE Dynamite, and I know when I tried out the Rode Pod mic and did that comparison there, I liked the Dynamite more than the Cloudlifter, so honestly, I just am in love with the SE Dynamite. It exceeded my expectations. Some of you may see this coming already, but the grade that I give the SE DM-1 or the SE Dynamite, whichever one you want to call it, is an A+. I just love the SE Dynamite. I think that I've already praised it enough, but I just think it is a fantastic product. Thank you all for watching this review of the SE Dynamite. I hope that it helped you out and that you found it informative, but most of all, I hope you had fun. Stay tuned for a lot more reviews and comparisons and just a lot of other stuff, a lot of other shit. And one thing that I do want to say on a serious note, seriously, thank you to all of my subscribers. You are just the classiest people, just world-class, finest group of people I've ever met. I haven't met a lot of you, but I love ya. One quick thing I do want to say is thank you Gut Punch News for recommending that I test this out and make a review for it. You are my boy, and also his wife thinks I look like a serial killer. Thank you. And once again, thank you for watching the Audio Hotline. I'll see you audio nerds next time.